The Channel Island of Jersey is increasingly becoming an efficient hub for managing, structuring and holding assets of wealthy families. Once seen as a secret harbour for illicit gains, Jersey's reputation has recently been transformed. It is now equivalent to, or sometimes ahead, of rules and trends on the UK mainland and nearby continental Europe. But as we enter an age of breakneck innovation, political populism and unprecedented transfer of wealth, this tiny island faces a major challenge. Faced with a sea of more powerful global competitors, how can Jersey continue to attract clients from the world's wealthiest families and institutions and adapt to ever-changing economic tides? International financial centres, be they windswept islands or landlocked cities, are all looking at the same client base. They want to attract the next generation. This is the market they must focus on. Understanding this new class of customer means developing a deep knowledge of the trends that interest them. These include investing for impact, working with developing countries including China, and taking part in the digital revolution. Jeff Cook, about to move on from the helm of Jersey Finance to advise independent firms on the island, has been talking about these issues during his last 12 years as CEO. We ask him how international centres can adapt to this sea change in the world of financial services. Will Jersey be able to make the most of these fruitful markets?
Most of the new wealth that's been created is being created in Asia and to a lesser extent in the Middle East. And in Asia in particular, this is first and second generation wealth. It's entrepreneurial wealth. You know, people have made this money themselves, not inherited it. Only now are we seeing them turning and thinking about succession planning and the transfer of wealth from one generation to the next. So we found with millennials in particular, there's a much greater concern to make sure that the money is being invested wisely and ethically and responsibly, and that it's making a social impact. Jersey has those capabilities and competencies. It's got a broad and deep pool of expertise, over 13,000 people working in our finance sector. It's 60 years old, and it's developed those competencies and capabilities of being able to manage assets globally for clients.
And we know that Chinese investors culturally are particularly sensitive to the whole conversation around succession planning. Do you have confidence in the Jersey practitioners that they can negotiate this conversation, that they can say, well, here's a jurisdiction with trust law that might be useful for your needs?
What we find with Asian clients and Chinese clients in particular, they know they should be doing something, but they don't know what to do because they don't have a history of wealth transfer through their families over generations. So helping demystify the complexity, helping them to position ourselves as a trusted advisor, we find gets a very good reaction.
And when you get an audience with the newer generation as well as their parents, do you find that they want a more digital approach, or do they still rely on a lot of face-to-face advice?
I think at initial meeting level, when you're exploring a relationship, exploring establishing structures, then generally it will be face-to-face. But once you've advised a family, and if you set up a family office or a private trust company, it's very prevalent now for the younger generation to want access to their arrangements, access to the investments, access to reporting digitally. And they require that at any time, real time on any kind of device, whether it be a tablet or a phone. The other interesting area is our firms themselves, in terms of being able to deliver that service, are also becoming digital adopters.
Are the changes there in place on a regulatory level?
So we were the first jurisdiction in the world to develop a Bitcoin fund, for example. There is blockchain technology adoption in the jurisdiction. So we have a competent and progressive regulator that's prepared to work with those kinds of things. So we are keeping up with the digital agenda. We are investing as a jurisdiction, and we are getting the necessary framework and support from our regulatory authority.